These are 5 art lessons for you young artists that can make your drawing turn from this into this in just a matter of weeks. As a young artist myself who has spent countless of hours to learn how to draw from the scratch, even enrolling in one of the pro artist courses, I dedicated my time to search what is the right lesson that the pro artists do to foster their improvement. And the best part is, I have summarized all my research into 5 lessons that you need to follow to improve your art. So today I'm going to reveal what's the 5 art lessons that you can follow to improve your drawing in a short time, and how these 5 lessons doesn't require you to be talented, and you can even see the result in just a month. And if you stay until the end of the video, I will show you my art progress before I follow this lesson and after I follow these lessons. A little disclaimer before we begin, this is not a tutorial video, so I won't explain all the detail of each lesson. Instead, I will just tell you the map that you can use to guide you in your art journey. And keep in mind that I'm still a young artist myself, so I haven't done some of the things in these lessons, but all of these lessons is based on my experience and my research that I got by studying a lot of pro artist videos tutorial, including the course that I'm doing right now. So if you're okay with it, then let's jump to the video. Remember the first time you learned how to drive a car? Instead of learning how to drive it right away, you will be taught about the parts that you need to operate in order for you to be able to drive the car, like brake, accelerator, clutch, gear, etc. This is actually similar with drawing. Before you actually drawing something, you need to understand these 3 things that I like to call 3 basic pillars of drawing. And I promise you, if you understand these 3 things, sketching will be piece of cake for you. The first pillar, and I believe the most important one in this list, that a lot of young artists always underestimate, though I believe if you know how to apply this in your drawing, you can see your drawing improvement right away, and this thing called lines.
Bro, what? What is this guy talking about? Bro, stop playing. Even kindergarten student know how to draw lines. Bro, just tell me the part where I can draw my OC.
Alright. Before you blast me in the comment section, let me show you how lines can actually improve your drawing. Take a look at these pro artist sketches. Now take a look at my sketches that I drew a couple of months ago. As you can see, all of these are just simple sketches with minimum or even no shading nor color. But we all agree that all my sketches are actually not that bad, but it's just plain and boring. But the pro artist sketches are beautiful and splendid. Why is that? Because these pro artists apply what they call line weight. What is line weight, you might ask? Well, basically, line weight is the variation of the lines that separate thick and thin of the lines, depending on where the light source comes from and where the edges that 2 lines are connected. As you can see, these sketches have very thick line on the part that covered by shadow, the part where the 2 lines meet at the edge, and the part that far from the light source. And for the other parts, the lines are way thinner. And if you're unconvinced enough about how important the line is, listen what the Proco said in his video.
Lines are not just lines. They have a shape, value, and edge that can convey emotion and guide the viewer's eyes. Lines can represent different things such as shapes, shadows, measurements, gesture, perspective, and even words and emojis. They are important building blocks in creating a piece of art. So let's start practicing our lines.
The second pillar on our list is something that will play a big part when you want to have your own art style. This thing requires the coordination of your hand and your eyes, your skill to guess about how long and how tilted the line should be, and the relation between one facial feature and another facial feature. If your drawings still look like this, then you might be needed to consider learning a thing called proportion. What is proportion? Proportion is basically how to make sure the object that you are drawing, or in this case a face, will not look weird and give us the illusion that all the facial features are actually belong there, even if you have stylized drawing. Take a look at these beautiful drawings by Angel Ganef. As you can see, these drawings are stylized, especially the eyes that are bigger than the other facial features. But because Angel Ganef understands about the proportions, his drawing looks natural and all the facial features that he stylized are not look weird. And if you divided this image into 4 parts, all the parts are equal, and that means these 3 drawings are drawn with the right proportions. Now on the last pillar is something that will make your drawing look 3D and has a dimension. This thing is important if you want to draw 3/4 view hat, though the front hat and the profile view hat actually have these things too. Yes, I'm talking about perspective. Perspective is a technique that artists use to make an illusion so their drawing will have a depth and won't look flat. There are several types of perspectives, but for portrait drawing, most likely it will use 2 points perspectives. Take a look at these 3 references from 3 different sites. You can see that even the side view is actually 3-dimensional, which usually a lot of young artists drawing it flat, because they thought side view doesn't have any perspective and just flat. You can use box to practice your perspective on a human head. Just draw the box around the human head like this. Now, what you should do after you have learned all the 3 basic pillars? Well, it's time to apply those 3 things in our sketch. There are a few methods out there that you can use to sketch a face, but I will tell you the easiest method that almost all the pro artists use in their drawings. And I remember back then, before I knew this method, I was struggling to draw a face because no matter how hard I tried, my drawing will always end up looking bad and flat. And this made me stop trying to draw from the human references and spend all my time drawing anime, since it's easier and it made me feel better about my drawing skills. Until one day, I decided to move out from my comfort zone and try it once again. Fortunately, I stumbled upon one YouTube video about method that most artists use in their drawings. And this is when I found a method called Loomis method. Loomis method is a simple technique to draw a face that invented by a famous illustrator named William Andrew Loomis. This method always starts with a ball and separate 4 equal parts of human head with lines, and those lines are hairline, eyebrow line, nose line, and jawline. I won't be too detailed about this since this is not a tutorial video, but you can find the original book that Loomis wrote himself that talks about this method in a detail on internet. The book name is Drawing the Heads and Hands, that released in 1956. But if you don't like read books, I will make a video that talk about this method in a future video, so make sure you always stay tuned on my channel. Like I mentioned before, I was struggling to draw a face from human references, and even worse, when I tried to shading it, it looks flat and messy.
Nope.
So are we gonna talk about shading now? Well, no, not yet, but we'll talk about something that a lot of young artists skip when they learn how to draw a face. Even though I kinda get it why people skip this, because this is the boring part from all the lessons so far. But this lesson is super important to make your drawing looks 3D and has a depth. So in this lesson you need to learn about face planes. What is face planes? Well, I guess the name already explained it. It's basically all the planes that form our face. As you can see here, our face is not flat, even though it looks flat, but it's actually not. The face planes are super important to learn before you learn how to shading, because by understanding the planes of the face, it will be easier for you to know which part that you should make darker and which part you should make brighter. Which, of course, the end result of this, it will give you 3D illusion in your drawing. There are a few methods that people use to learn about face planes, but I suggest you to learn Riley method and Asaro head. Riley method, or the method that I like to call the more complex version of Loomis method, is a method that will teach you more detail about the planes of human face. And by combining it with learning the Asaro head, a generic head that also will show you the planes of human face that you can use as a reference every time you do your shading process, I'm sure it will help you a lot to understand the shading part. The face planes are not just for realism style. Even anime style still use face planes. Maybe not as complex as if you draw with realism style, but it still uses the simple version of it. Take a look at these 2 drawings from One Piece and Naruto. You can see that there are shadows on this part when the light hits the nose, the cheekbones, and the other bones in the character's face. You can see Naruto's cheeks in this part is covered by shadow. Why? Because this part of the cheek is actually not on the same part. This part is the front part of the cheek, and this part in the side part of the cheek. You can also notice it by looking at the headband that Naruto's wear. You can see it's not flat, but it's wrapping his hat around. Alright, for this lesson and the next lessons are not something that I really understand yet. I'm still learning about this too, so if some of my explanation are wrong, feel free to leave a comment and correct my mistake, because I'm more than open to get correction from you guys. Now, you have learned all the things that you need to know about sketching. The next part is shading. With colors, right? Well, yes, but not that kind of colors. You are not ready yet. We start with something less complicated, and that is grayscale drawing. What is grayscale drawing? Grayscale drawing is basically a drawing that only uses black and white as the color. In this lesson, you actually don't have to worry about the hue, the saturation, and just focusing yourself on the value of black and white colors. Now, how we start this lesson? From the research I did, most pro artists suggest you start shading a ball at first and learn about all the parts that make your drawing look 3D, like midtone, shadow, light area, highlight, etc. And also to learn how to control the value first. Especially if you're a traditional artist, you need to learn how to control value by controlling the pressure of your pencil every time you're shading your art. From my research, I found that the best way to doing this by practicing to make your own value scale like this. And of course, don't change your brush colors to make the value scale. Make sure your color brush is black and control your pressure when you create your value scale. The last one of our list is colors. Now, I can give you all the things that I got from YouTube and Google about how to understand the colors, but I haven't gotten myself to colors yet, so I wouldn't dare to tell you what you should learn or do about colors, because colors are super complicated. And like I mentioned before, there are things called hue, saturation, and values. These three things play a big part of colors. And so far, I never tried to learn colors yet, because I believe I haven't finished with my sketching and grayscale. So for my fellow young artists out there, or maybe pro artists that are watching this video, please spare us some of your knowledge by leave a comment about how you learn colors and where we should start if you want to learn it. Of course, all of these things that I put in this list are not based from one source, but this is what I got from different pro artists that I believe are capable in art. And if you're not convinced enough with it, listen to what Sam Does Art said about this.
Because the thing with digital art and art in general is just that you want to take things one step at a time. You want to learn one thing at a time. You don't want to get yourself way too overwhelmed with all the knowledge that there is about all these different topics. Like if you're jumping into art fresh without any knowledge, there's so many different things. There's perspective, there's anatomy, there's color theory, there's lighting, there's all of these things that all come together to make you a good artist. So you have to really take things one step at a time. If you overwhelm yourself, chances are you're not going to be too happy with your work and you're going to have a hard time learning what it is that you need to learn. So now,
see, the master himself had spoken. Take things one step at a time. Don't rush it.
Alright, we get it. Stop using Pro to step in to pick up your shitty point and actually show us your drawing progress. You're just all talk, no actions.
Alright, geez. Okay, this is my art progress before I follow these lessons and after I'm following this lesson. See, I'm not just all talk, right? I'm actually doing it. But you know what is worse than that? The person who watched this video and not subscribed. So click subscribe now or you will get an art block.